Hey, Chandler Bolt here, and in this video I want to talk about the curse of being a charismatic leader and also the difference between inspiring people and leading people. Now, I had a conversation with someone on my team recently, and we were just kind of talking through, I had a lot of early struggles as a leader. Leadership was very difficult for me. It's not something that came naturally for me. And one of the early things that I realized is that, I've kind of always been naturally charismatic. I love people. I love being around people. I feel like I'm good with people. And so early on in my leadership journey, that covered up a lot of poor leadership tendencies. Now, the big thing here is if you're charismatic, you're good at getting people fired up. Right? So in the early days, I would find that I would constantly be giving these motivational talks or getting people fired up, or they'd be bought into the vision, but they'd be burning out because of the lack of fundamentals. And so one of the things that I had to address and really just kind of discover is that there's a huge difference between being charismatic and being a real leader. So if you're someone who is charismatic, I know that in some ways it can be one of your biggest strengths, but on the flip side, just know that it can also cover up a lot of your weaknesses. So the question I would ask is, am I just inspiring people? Or am I being a real leader? And do I have kind of these fundamental principles or fundamental leadership philosophies that I'm following that are setting me up for long-term success? Now, obviously, I'm going to be talking about some of those fundamental principles for leadership in kind of the other videos that I have here. So in some of these other principles videos, so you can go there for the fundamental principles of leadership. But that's a question that I really want you to ask. Now, on the flip side, if you're someone who's not that charismatic and you probably always look and maybe you're an introvert or maybe you're someone who says, hey, that's not me, I'll never be a leader. I actually think that couldn't be further from the truth. And I've had so many people kind of in my organization where I've said, hey, you are a natural leader, right? People naturally follow you. They look up to you. They trust you, and don't feel like you have to be this rah-rah motivational speaker to get people to follow, right? And to get people to fulfill the ultimate objective that you're trying to achieve with this company, with your team, with those things, right? So I think in a lot of ways there's hope for people who aren't charismatic. And actually, there's a lot of huge negatives to being charismatic when it comes to sustainably leading people. So if you are charismatic, don't be overconfident and just say, hey, I can brush over a lot of these things just by being charismatic. So really the key takeaway here is that if you're just relying on your charisma, your people are just going to go from one pep talk to the next. And what I found is that 9 months, 12 months, 16 months later, they're burnt out, they quit. People were kind of pulling the ripcord, the eject button in my organization because I wasn't really showing up for them as a leader. I wasn't investing in them. I wasn't following some of these principles that I'll teach about in the other videos. So that's what I encourage you to think about is, am I being charismatic and just inspiring people? Or am I being a true leader? If you don't feel like you're being a true leader, definitely check out some of the other videos that I've got here, kind of leadership principles and philosophies. I'd love to, as always, have you comment below this video. Let me know what you think about this. Have you struggled with this? Maybe on one side where you're charismatic, or on the other side where you look at those charismatic leaders and you say, wow, I guess I could never be a leader, right? So comment below, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.